Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Christopher Gilliam. I have run for City Council in Chippewa Falls. I'm going to be representing Ward 3, and I'm going to do something that nobody in Chippewa has ever done before. I'm going to basically have a podcast through my tenure where I'm able to communicate directly with you guys, the voters, and tell you what's going on and break down, some of the meetings and all that good stuff. And more than that, it's a good place where I can tell you about who I am, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I'm hoping it's a way to reach my constituents in a way that nobody's really done before. So, first thing, a little bit about myself. Again, I'm Christopher Gilliam, and the reason I decided to run for city council was basically, I've been following politics now for the last 4 or 5 years or so. Um, I really liked what I saw out of President Trump and his administration. He really surprised me. I'm going to be honest with you. In 2016, I wasn't convinced, and in an ignorant way, I sort of likened him to Arnold Schwarzenegger being the governor of California. And well, he didn't do such a great job, but I didn't do my due diligence on Trump, and he stepped in and he delivered, and he did all the things he said he was going to do, and him and his team did some really good policy along the way. And I was really hopeful that there would be, 4 more years of that, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. Now we have terrible, progressive, not good policy coming out of the White House. In 6 weeks, I would say Joe Biden is very much on track to go down in history as one of the worst presidents of all time. Woodrow Wilson, Jimmy Carter, Lyndon B. Johnson, he might be worse than all of them at the pace that he's doing things. So anyhow, a lot of people on my side of the aisle, obviously, if you haven't picked it up, I am a proud Republican, definitely a libertarian slant here. And, I think a lot of us, after the defeat on November 3rd, we're feeling pretty hopeless, feeling pretty down. I decided to get involved because I don't feel that way at all. I feel pretty hopeful. I think the other side of the aisle, I'll give them credit. They might be unified, but their policies and their ideas do not work. Their policies and their ideas tend to harm the very people that they try to help. And what really sparked the fire for me and made me realize the level of competence of some of these people was actually getting a hold of and reading the Green New Deal word for word. It's only about 14 or 16 pages, and it'll never pass because it can't. We need 20 years of GDP to afford it. That's all very true. And 60% of the bill, when I read it, I was horrified to find that 60% of the bill is platitudes, meaningless platitudes with no actual plan behind them. Stuff like, we're going to create high-paying jobs for all Americans. And, meanwhile, you're sitting there reading this going, well, how are you going to do it? There's nothing in here about how you're going to do it. You're just saying we're gonna. The other 40% of it is, basically just terrible ideas that are insanely expensive and will not work, such as, we're just going to tear down and retrofit and rebuild every single building in America. Yeah, because like that won't, take a very long time and be incredibly expensive. And endorsing energy sources like solar that just doesn't have the capacity, it's fairly expensive, uses a lot of rare earth materials, is not truly renewable because you have to rebuild those panels every 15 to 20 years. They have to get replaced, and they're expensive to replace. So I don't consider that renewable. Or she wants to go for wind, which again, it's low yield, and those things they burn out very quickly. And you can drive all over this country and you can see broken windmills, dilapidated, Well, heck, you can see how that worked out for Texas not too long ago. It's not a very viable source, and it's insanely expensive. If you're going to spend that kind of money and you want to create a society that really benefits off of it, you need to get bang for your buck, and there's energy sources that do that better. So the parts of it that had any kind of actual cohesion, I was not convinced. It was pretty I definitely wasn't sold, heavily disagreed. And then the rest of it was, honestly, I've seen better writing from eighth graders. It struck me as the kind of paper I would have wrote if I were in eighth grade, and my social studies teacher told me, "Here, write a bill for Congress." That's about what I would have come up with. So when I saw that and realized that that's the bar that is set for some of our Congress people, um, not only did that really freak me out, but I realized, and it's really sad because I'm just some guy, but I realized I can do better than this, because this is nothing. This is bad. This is really bad, and this is somebody who is a federal legislature. They're in federal legislature. I mean, that's obviously people need to step up and do something, and replace people like that. It's unacceptable. So I decided, you know what? Let's jump in feet first. Let's get involved at the local level, and let's prove it. Let's prove we can actually do better than that. Granted, the bar was not set very high. I'll even pull up the link for you here. I'll go to share screen, and if you've never seen this bill before, you can. If you've never seen this bill before, you can basically copy it from me. Pretty easy to find with a DuckDuckGo search. Let's see, where is it? There it is. I mean, you got a link here. I guess you saw me search for it, and you can do that if you need to. I mean, you can look down and read through this whole bill. I won't make you go through all of it, but honestly, most of this is meaningless conjecture. You'll find out if you do take the time to read through it. If you've ever been curious, here's the link. You saw me do the search. Pretty easy to do. You don't you can actually look through any bill here at this website. This is a pretty good place. You can look at your committees. You can look at your members. A pretty wonderful place. You can even look up, say, the HR1 bill is something, the For the People Act, which is a pretty horrifying bill in and of itself. In fact, maybe on the next podcast here, if you want, I could actually show you the website pushing this bill as bipartisan legislation, when in fact it is not. It's actually something that would basically ensure one-party rule in the United States, which is not good, but it's pretty incredible that if you go to a site like represent.us, you go here, they have a whole propaganda thing for the HR1 bill, which they pitch it as taking money out of big money out of politics, but it doesn't actually do that. It just basically automatically enrolls people to vote absentee that are on welfare, and allows felons to vote, and things like that are super exciting. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting to see. I mean, look at this. You get that you got McConnell and Pelosi together as if they're it's pretty ridiculous. So, they'll even donate to our cause, but we're not even going to show you what we're not even going to show you what you're actually donating to. The Anti-Corruption Act. You can actually sign here to co-sponsor the Anti-Corruption Act. We're not going to show you what it is. We're not going to do that, but we'll take your money. And then here's HR1 for the People Act. So I mean, you'd have to. It's a massive bill, the actual bill. So you'd have to read through that on quite a bit of your own time. I believe it was about 700 pages. But looking into stuff like this sort of corruption and whatnot, is part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And what I'm hoping to do is break things down for you guys into, basically be able to summarize my work and what I'm looking at and why I'm doing the things I'm doing, why I'm involved, why I'm, why all of this matters so much to me, where I'm getting my information from, all that kind of stuff. Just kind of a little example of how I go about doing that. So, and I'm pretty excited to do this. I think the Republican Party is very strong, and I think we're on track. I'm pretty excited about the future. I'm pretty proud of this. I'm pretty proud of this city too. I really am. Looking around the United States, in the last 6 weeks, in the last year with COVID and whatnot, here we have a city that has done its best to keep schools open and to keep places of commerce open, so that here we have common sense mayors and legislators that understand that people need to have a living. We have that. We don't have a governor that I support, and yet we still have schools that are doing their best to be open. We have teachers in this town that actually care about their students, that are willing to go to work and take care of those students. They aren't cowards like the people in Chicago who, care more about sitting on their butts, earning money to do nothing at the expense of children. Children who this virus thankfully has been very has not been nearly as dangerous towards as the rest of us, which is a good thing. You certainly wouldn't want to have seen it where it was claiming the lives of children. Any death from it's a tragedy, of course, but I'm grateful that we had to deal with this virus, that it didn't take our children nearly as bad as it took adults, which is good. And I'm glad we have courageous teachers that have been willing to risk it all to educate our children, because they understand our children are the future. Those are the kind of values that are important to me, that I'd be driving and that I'd be praising, and that I'd be incentivizing. Hey, any of our teachers, seriously, tell them thank you for what they've done, and for not giving up on our kids. That's huge. Thank our law enforcement. Thank God we aren't one of the cities that have tried to defund them or punish them for doing their job. For being the mortar between the bricks of our society. Thank them for that. Those are some of the things that are important to me. Thank goodness we have a good veterans center around here. Definitely keep that going. There's a huge veteran community we have in this city. I think I'm pretty lucky to be able to represent a city like this, because what the last 6 weeks of the Biden administration have shown us, and the way some places like California and New York have shown us during how they've handled this virus. Not everybody's as lucky as we are. Not everybody has people in charge that care about them, or that do care about the children, that won't sell them out for some sort of special interest group. Part of why I got involved is because, no matter what happens, I will never be that guy. That's not going to happen. It's, if I was going to represent a special interest, that special interest better be something that is good for people. So anyways, that's who I am. Basically, I start on April 6th, so definitely, get out there and vote. I'm running unopposed, of course, so, there's nobody else in my case to vote for. had a good conversation with C.W. King. Really nice guy. Offered to help me out and give advice during my tenure, which I'm very grateful for. We had a pretty awesome conversation when he decided he wasn't going to run again. Definitely hats off to the guy. He's a class act. But April 6th is when I start. So between now and then, what I'm going to be doing is, I'm basically going to just sort of be, I'm going to be keeping up on the news and relating to you guys how I, basically my take on it, my stance on it, so you get a better perception of who I am and, how I'm going to participate and try to do my job. And then once April 6th comes around, I will still do that, but I'm also going to, at that time be sort of relaying the meetings, relaying the events, relaying, everything I can about, what's going on, and that way you guys are as involved as possible. I think that's really exciting. That's true democracy. If you can have basically everybody in your ward, everyone you represent, the ability to actually tune in and see what's going on, and hear it straight from the horse's mouth and not have to rely on a newspaper or a media source that may or may not be telling you the truth. So I think that'd be exciting. Definitely look forward to that. I'll be trying to get this out to as many people in Chippewa Falls as I possibly can. I'm still brainstorming how I'm going to do it, but I'm definitely going to use our local Republican Party and try and come up with some other ideas here to figure out how to get the message out to people. That way they can tune into that. So, okay, well, thank you very much for checking it out, and I will see you soon.